How you all doing? I was just telling Jill, I said, I now understand what happens when you get older. If you live long enough, you begin not to entertain a lot of energies from people because you want to keep your space in a certain place. Right. And I was just realizing it because even for myself, I'm able to understand it's better just to mind your business than to be in somebody else's business. And this way I got my own challenges. I ain't got time to be helping you figure everything out.
When you're younger, you think when you say you're never going to do certain things, that just saying that when you're younger, outside of the pressures of life, you think that's going to seal the deal. You'll find out as you get older, as you age, that there's some things you're going to consider. So when they say never, ask an older person who made some other decisions other than the ones that they did outside of different commitments and different things under pressure. See, listen, 20-year-old pressure, listen, you are like superhumans at 20.
But that's different than 40-year-old or 50-year-old pressure?
The same way 20-year-old pressure is different from 40 and 50-year-old pressure, because when you're 20, you still have time to make a whole bunch of real ridiculous mistakes and recover.
Right, I got you.
When you get older, you can make the same mistakes, but you don't have time to lose in recovery. That's all I'm saying, y'all.
That's what's up. Well, I'm going to get right into it in terms of, this is a little something in the spirit, and I'm glad you all are joining us. We haven't gone over this, but we've talked about these concepts and we've lived this for quite some time, and we're just going to flow and we're going to see where we land.
For the record, Deron and I did not rehearse or practice before we do what we do. He may say to me, Jill, this is what I'm thinking about. Guess what I say? All right, I'm going to come down with my thoughts on what you were just talking about. You're going to get your thoughts. And, you know, we know enough not to talk over each other. We know how to pull back. That wasn't always the case. But now, so when he says that, it is absolutely true. And I'm thankful for that, though, Deron, because I get to show up as me.
Okay.
I get to show up with how these things speak to me. And it works out.
Hey, it's pretty good. I'm looking forward to what we're going to talk about this evening. Or just as we're talking to people, and I want you to remember that our goal is to give you a little something in the spirit. We don't think we'll be able to feed you an entire meal, but we can give you enough of our earned wisdom and experience, mistakes, and things we've learned from, and say, hey, don't do it like we did it, but you need to learn how to get it done. And that's what we'll do. And having said that, this is a little something in the spirit, and I can't believe that is something that we would even talk about doing some 20 some odd years later, that we would do that when we started it, and it was just a little wisdom. That's what it is.
There you go. And the name was simply something that was the meme at the time. That's what, before memes came out now, but it was just something that was catchy at the time. The wisdom is going to be the wisdom. I don't care what package we put them in, because it comes from us, and it's the way that God speaks to us, and it's the way that God has set us up to use our energy in the earth and to heal and set the captives free. It's the way we do it.
Amen. All right, Father, bless this time. Bless those who are listening. We thank you for your revelation. I thank you for revealing things as Jill and I begin to talk and we begin to share, knit our souls together. Let us be able to demonstrate what we have is much more than they, whoever they are, can see. And let us be able to represent our Creator, the one who has kept us and kept us all the way around and shows us how to keep it real and be real. Prepare us for anything as we do what we have to do. In the great Creator, Yeshua's name, we thank you for peace, God. I thank you for peace. Now I ask that you give us the ability to speak to someone and help them to destroy the very thing that has caused the chaos in their life. And that families, brothers and sisters, families, lovers, you name it, will be able to function a lot better. In Yeshua's name, all those in agreement said, amen.
Yes, Lord.
Several years ago, when it would snow, it used to snow, I was in the garage working with the snowblower, and something happened, and I started saying something to you. You said something, and before you know it, I had an attitude problem. I was in the garage, you was in the kitchen. And I asked myself, well, where did that come from? Because there was no need for me to have that kind of attitude.
Response.
And that kind of response. And that's when I was already beginning to study the conscious mind, and try to understand why I was doing things out of habit as opposed to just being present when I did things.
And I like to say it this way, as the Apostle Paul would say, how is it that the good that I want to do, I don't do?
Yeah.
How is it that the good that I want to do, I don't do?
Right.
Right.
And so one of the things that I realized, and I became I've always liked psychology, and even when I did take a few classes in UDC, I took psychology courses because it just so intrigued me that the mind was that complicated, and not just that complicated, that I lost a word. How the mind was that brilliant, and it could trick its own self.
Very well built and very well organized,
Right.
compartmentalized, just all of that.
And that was from one psychology course. But the man, he taught it so well that it made me begin to study Sybil and all the women that had all the personalities, all these different things. And I just did a lot of reading. And so I've come to a conclusion that if you're going to have a love, if you're going to have a love in your family, a love with one another, it's going to have to be one that's conscious. And we dealt with this one of the last times we got together. A love that's free of mistrust, disharmony, and unspoken words. Because if you have an unconscious love, then what's going to happen? Your love is going to be entangled and burdened by past programming.
Absolutely.
And some of the things that I found out that I was doing was not that I wanted to do it, but it was my social conditioning that had caused me to respond certain ways like that. And so our goal is, when I say, oh, it's too hot, I was saying, listen, some of times it gets too hot and we don't know why it's so hot. And our goal will be able to help you bring the temperature. You can keep the heat going, but you got to be able to manage your own internal heat so that you don't burn each other up, because we're both fire. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that is kind of what helped me over the years. When we say manage your heat, it means this: be responsible for the way you feel. Own your own feelings.
Right.
Because during my early years of marriage, when I didn't own my own feelings and I made my feelings about you, we just didn't get anywhere.
Right.
We didn't get anywhere because you are not me. You are not going to feel what I feel. You may feel similar because maybe you've been through something similar,
Right.
but you can't feel exactly how I feel because you're not me. And until I own that,
Right.
then it was going to be about blame, excuses, escape,
Right.
coping mechanisms, and it was just an ugly repeat that, as far as I'm concerned, was eating up too much precious time in my life.
It's almost like you know the notes and you ain't looked at them. It says, and I put this, as we learn, baby, true love brings freedom. As we have learned, if you're really going to have a loving family, a loving relationship, it's about bringing freedom. And it's a love that the love that most of us are familiar with, and we dealt with it briefly the last time we did a little something in the spirit, is codependent love. And a codependent love is when you stay here, lock my arms right here, lock my arms like this. You stay unconsciously locked in unconscious behavioral patterns that bring disharmony in your relationships. And you're like this and don't even realize that you're locked in this kind of battle. Our goal is to help them get out of that unconscious pattern. When your behavior is determined by someone else, when others rely on you to keep their bad habits and addictions, when you submit to the moods of others. And so with me, I used to submit to the moods of others. And if you're not careful, you will stay unconsciously locked into somebody else's moods, into their addictions, and you will submit to their moods. And if you do that, then you're not being true to your own feelings. And so you planted this in my space, in my relationship garden, in my mental garden, psychic garden. You've got to own your feelings, and you've got to feel your feelings. And you've got to know, if you're not true to your, we would say, feelings don't necessarily mean fact, but they don't mean that they're not real.
Feelings are very accurate. If I'm angry, my spirit will tell me that I'm angry. Now, why I'm angry, whether whose fault it is, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what exists. And what exists is the way I feel, no matter what made me, in my mind, feel that way. I'm not going to focus on whose fault it is.
Right, I got you.
My focus is on solution. If this thing is somehow becoming some kind of hindrance to me, I can't move forward. I can't get this off of my mind, so I can't think creatively. I can't do any of the things that I know that I like to do in order to feel as if I am doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I don't. You know, if something is blocking that path, then I need to care that something is blocking my path. What is blocking my path?
And what I like to pull from whether sometimes the current behaviors, and over the last 10 years or so, there became this meme or saying or the cliche in the street, and that is keep it 100. I keep it 100. And within the last 5-7 years, I keep it 100. And when I began to analyze that, people would say, oh no, I keep it 100. I keep it 100. Well, in a relationship, you've got to keep it 100, and that's 100% responsibility. And that is, there's no room for blame, no room for victimhood or victimizing allowed. And so when you keep it 100, you begin to learn how to own your responsibility, own what it is that you're bringing into this relationship. And once you begin to own what you're bringing into, I was just looking for my, there you go, keeping it 100, not to hurt, but to keep your mindset on owning your contribution to the relational hiccups that's taking place. Many of us are with things, when relationship is good, we're good. But then when we hit a bump in the road, when we hit a hiccup, when we hit some kind of crossroads or something, we tend to want to blame. But when you keep it 100, you own your contribution to the relational hiccup. And in keeping it 100, I wrote, it's the responsibility factor. When conflict enters, we only flourish when we both take 100% responsibility for any issue that arises. Now, I know there's some people that are thinking, no, but you don't understand, it's their fault. That's what I got this name. It's hot in here, it's their fault. It's not their fault. Yes, they may have done something. They may have done something. But when you keep it 100, even if it looks like it's somebody else's problem, how or did I contribute to this solution? Right. I have to ask, okay, we're here at a crossroads. We're here where we're not seeing eye to eye. We're here where you don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. We don't even want to go out to do this or whatever. Now, even if I think it's your problem or you are responsible for it, I still have to say, what did I contribute to this to trigger that? What did I do? How it takes two to argue. Right. And what was in me that allowed me to make this, or even prompt you or provoke you into a certain behavioral pattern?
You know, let me just talk from, but that's definitely, all of that is true. let me start from this point because I wanted to kind of catch up some things you said.
Cool.
You said it's day fault. Listen, it may be day fault, but it ain't day life. It's your life.
Right.
Listen to me, ladies. It's your life. You have to give an account for your life.
Mm-hmm.
What helped me get over this nonsense? And I'm telling you, this ain't easy. If I'm measuring it by the world, it ain't easy. If I'm measuring it by life and what's expected of me, it's just who he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to give an account. You got to give an account. I got to give an account for what I've done with this life. I have to answer to someone for this life. And I don't believe, and I have not read that my answer can be a long list of what Deron Cloud has done.
Thank Lord.
I don't believe that. Now, guess what? This is how the Lord, this is how biblically a Bible story has helped you out.
Mm-hmm.
It says this: brothers, love your wives, so that your prayers will be answered.
Right.
See, I want your prayers to be answered, but you gotta know that when you don't treat me a certain way,
mm-hmm.
you blow your own cover.
Right.
You have a cover, and in somebody's world, you're my cover in terms of how different people talk about it. And I get that, especially because of what was going on with that culture. Mm-hmm. That's a long story. I won't get into all that. But let me use that terminology. Guess what? You had somebody you answered to too.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give an account.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't spend my time trying to do God's work. God got that.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to do, the Creator's got that. There are laws of reaping and sowing. And those laws of reaping and sowing, they don't just apply to giving money.
Right.
They don't just apply to using your talents in the earth. They apply to how we treat each other. If you sow that, you're going to reap that.
Mm-hmm.
You get to determine what your future's going to look like, what doors open, if those doors are open, if God's going to bless all that. You get to determine that. And because I live in that space,
mm-hmm.
because I live in that space, I know that you don't have the power to set my life up in a way that it'll turn out just the way you say. Mm-hmm. Guess what? We all got to give an account for what we're going to do. And then you said something like this. You said true love brings freedom. You know why you won't always be free?
Why?
Because blaming you takes away your freedom. Okay. Because I now become the accuser. So at one point I was a fault finder. Because it was just easier. And yes, you triggered me. But in my triggers, listen to me, it's your triggers. I've had women say to me, he knows what gets me upset. He knows my triggers. No, they're your triggers. Make sure you know your triggers.
Right.
Digger, make sure you know your triggers, digger. Listen. And then, because you know your triggers, know when to walk away, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Don't blow it for yourself because you're attached to somebody else. Now, that's when codependency hurts you.
Right.
You're so attached to someone else that you're blowing all of your great moments because this person has a mood. It's their mood.
Right.
It's their mood. Learn how to be connected, but remember this. Naked I came into this world, naked I leave. I was born into this world without this person, and when I leave, it will be me.
That's it.
And so there are some principles and foundational things that because we take our cues from the world, and we don't build on the foundation of from our higher selves, and we don't go get life from that place, we tend to keep stumbling over the world's stumbling blocks. Right. And then guess what? You look up, and I've had people say to me, they look up and say, I'm 50-something years old. I don't even know what I want to do. Because sometimes you way too involved in other people's lives, loving someone else and not following your direction from the Spirit for what you're supposed to do in this world.
Take your love out of the dark space. If you want to take your love for your family or whatever you're experiencing out of this dark frequency, this space, you must make a conscious choice. Now, again, we're talking spiritually, and we're using some of the ancient scriptures. And Deuteronomy 30:15 says, listen closely, I've set before you today life and prosperity, good and death, adversity, evil. In that I command you today to love your God and to walk, that is, to live each and every day in his ways and keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments and precepts, so that you will live and multiply, and that the Lord your God will bless you in the land which you are entering to possess. The choice between life and death is yours. The choice is yours. Which choice will you make?
Absolutely. And
and I have two choices, but keep going.
Right. When my heart goes out my heart goes out because I see women. We try so hard. But we have all of these different scripts. These different roles comes with then people bring these scripts from these different roles. I remember the day when I felt like, when I was in a space and I was just trying to find what thing do I grab onto, because the minute I think I do well in this, next thing you know, I'm expected to do that, and I'm not doing so well in this role, and then I'm expected to do that in this role. And one day I decided, ladies, I said this: what I'm going to choose to be is a good woman. And once you choose to be a good woman, and that good is with you and your maker, and you decide to be a good woman, you automatically going to be a good wife. You're automatically going to be a good mother. You may have to understand a few things, but some things are going to come naturally. You know why? Because when the Word of God tells us to love must be sincere, it tells you to love from your center. And when you are loving from your center, you won't go wrong. This is why it's so important to be aligned and be centered. Because when love doesn't come from your center, it comes across like sometimes performers are trying way too hard, and then that wears us out.
Life choice A. When issues are coming to the surface, I refuse to react. I choose to respond. I agree to inquire into the source of the issue without any blame. I take full responsibility for them, and I tell the full truth about them to my partner. And so I'll say it again. When things creep up to the top or issues come to the surface, the first life choice is I refuse to react. I choose to respond. I refuse to clap back. I refuse and I made a conscious effort. I refuse to go back and forth. Why? Because, and I do it without blame, and I take responsibility to tell the full truth to the partner. But then there's the death choice. And that's choice number B, letter B, and that is when the personality issue arises, I consistently sweep them under the rug and keep them hidden. I don't look at them and I don't tell the whole truth. Instead, I withhold, withdraw, or I project on somebody. So that's the death choice, because on that one, you just keep sweeping the issues under the rug. Remember, we met a guy say they don't argue. And then we found out, yeah, y'all do. Y'all divorced now, but y'all was arguing. Go ahead.
Well, what you were doing was lying. So you wasn't arguing, no. But guess what you was doing? Okay, guess how Brother Man was handling that pressure of not talking? All over there with Susie and a few other people. What happened? Because guess what? Listen, this is what you said, Deron. You said, I refuse to clap back. I refuse to clap back, but let me tell you why I refuse to clap back. Because vengeance is God's. Listen, the creator of all of this said, let me show you how to live in peace. Let me show you how to make it, live in this broken world and still maintain why I sent you here. Let me show you how to love someone, Jill, and not lose yourself. That was huge for me, because I got tired of losing myself to someone else's desires. Not just his, my daughters, some friends, some colleagues. I didn't want to be so connected to what they understood about their life that I lost mine, because I was paying attention to too many things. So yes, we refuse to clap back. Why is that? Because vengeance is God. You know what he said? Listen, don't spend your energy doing it. Don't listen. When you got to clap back, you know how creative. If anybody had to come up with one of them arguments that you have in a room by yourself, when you're mad at somebody, I'm telling you, you know you are an artist. We become someone. I mean, we should be lawyers. We should be attorneys. You know, on this day you did this, and on that. I mean, we just can just write it all down, and we'll use our brilliant minds, our beautiful minds, on how to get somebody back. That's being creative.
Come on, that's it.
That's creativity. You can use that same energy to create something in the world, not to change somebody else, but to leave in this world what you was meant to leave in this world.
When we learned it, I started really understanding. When you get back, you stay down. If you say, oh, I'm gonna have to let them know, I'm gonna get them back, you stay down and bound. Why? Because when you take revenge, the energy never dies.
Right.
When you take revenge, when you decide, I'm gonna show them, then that means that energy stays alive. It stays alive when you can lay it down, let it go, and walk away. And I understand sometimes there's some issues where you say, but you don't understand. If you take revenge, it's going to live on because it will not stop. Revenge feeds on itself. And then that person want to get them back. If you look at the street gangs and all the different things and people disliking each other, and if you look at what on social media, people going back and forth with each other because they can't drop it, because that energy never dissipates. Come on, let's go.
You know, Deron, I remember someone telling me, it's a girlfriend that lives somewhere else, but she was telling me that her husband cheated on her, right? So her answer to that was, she cheated on him. She said, now we even. Even in what? Foolishness? Why do you want to be even in foolishness?
When you want to hurt him back.
But you didn't just hurt him back. You exposed yourself, in her case, to a stranger.
Right.
You went and connected and did this not because your heart led you to do it, not because you had any value in it. You figured this is how we're gonna be even Steven. Well, listen, be even Steven. Don't be even Steven in stupidity. You know what I mean?
I got you. Watch this. Now we already drop the mic on you and give you a principle that if you understand this, you can change. Because once I realized I was committed to nonsense, and that was the last thing I wanted to be. And so now, first, let's give the definition of commitment. It's the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause. So when I'm committed, I'm dedicated to a cause, dedicated to an activity, dedicated to a pledge or an undertaking. So when I am committed to something, my energy is dedicated to that kind of commitment. And when you are dead set on honoring your commitments, because many of us are loyalty to foolishness or loyalty to revenge. When I am committed to that, I am so engaged or filled with an obligation, Jill, that my commitment to the frequency serves my denial. Can I say that one more time? When I'm so engaged and I'm committed to foolishness and dead set on honoring what I decided, I ain't never letting this stop. I'm not never letting nobody do that to me, or I don't like that. I end up being committed to a frequency of denial that restricts my freedom of action, because I got to spend more time managing that, I used to teach that racket, than I do managing my relationships. And so there are many of us, we can't drop anything because we're committed to, if the problem leaves, then we won't have anything to deal with.
And if that's your goal, then that's what you're going to do. But you can be committed to a goal that actually benefits you. Not want to just get someone else back. Stop making people your project. Listen, I know I'm talking to these ladies and I've done all this.
Why would you say I'm talking to these ladies I've done all this?
Because they know this. I'm telling you, somebody's ears are burning right now. Their hands are shaking because they found out. Listen, don't make your husband your project. He's not your project. He is not your project. And when your husband become your project, I'm telling you, you're going to take your eyes so far off of your own life, and you are going to be bitter in the end and not better.
I'm going to put myself out there. I'm a husband. How could you make me your project?
How? Because I think that your moves are my responsibility.
Okay.
I think that you losing stuff, not from illness, but just from not disciplining yourself, my responsibility.
I knew I was stepping out there, but go ahead. Hit me all in the head. It's good.
Oh, no.
I'm with you. Talk truth.
Really.
Keep it real.
And so there were times when I was in the middle, and some of this, I'm telling you, I'm just mastering now. But it's because, listen, we have so much to undo from that social conditioning that comes to women's place, you know, what to do, why you should do it. Thousands of books on the shelf, more books on the shelf about how a woman should be in a marriage than it is diet books. And we know the diet industry is a big industry, right? So how do I make you my project?
Okay.
How do I see, what am I saying? I understand that we're connected, and I understand that I should, if you need my help or that there should be some kind of connection, but if what you're doing and whether it look right becomes my total focus, if I'm focused on you and I'm living your life, who's living mine?
I got you.
Who's living mine? Deron, you told this story about this fits a certain, I'm gonna make it fit, right? So when we get married, I know these things about Deron. I know that you had started college. I knew your parents were, what they did. I understood some of those parts of background in terms of the reading, the schooling, the education, and those kind of things. And so, at some point, I am now working on him to go to school. Are you gonna go back to school? Are you gonna go to school? Now, listen. Let me tell you what I did do in the beginning, and this I'm telling you, don't trap nobody, right? I mean, don't make people say things that they probably won't back up because really they're just saying it because they don't want to make you mad.
Right.
And so I'm asking. There's nothing about what you're doing that says that's what you want, but it's what I want. So guess what I get? I get you to make me a commitment with words, not in your heart.
Right.
With words. Yeah, I'm thinking about going back. You know why you're thinking about going back? Because I put it in your head every chance I got. That's why you was thinking about going back. You weren't thinking about
I'm just learning. Go
you
ahead.
weren't thinking about going back because you had your own independent thought. I was constantly throwing something out there. Because at this point, I am trying to plan out my life with your sacrifice. And so I did that over and over and over again. And then one day, guess what happened? The Lord woke me up to show me that those words were for me. But that meant I was focused on you to do something. Those words were for me. You know how I ended up going to school? How I ended up going back to school? Well, going to school because I only had a high school education at the time. There was a person from the neighborhood. I grew up in Southeast D.C. near Valley Green. If you're not from the Washington D.C. area,
It was
the
called
hood,
the
Dodge
hood.
City, drug use, crime, or projects.
And it was called the hood, but keep going.
Right. And all of those, Ron, you made me forget what I was getting ready to say. Oh, I know what I was talking about. So all of those things was going on. So there was a person when I was younger. She ended up on crack, right? And I'm talking about not the person who did crack, but this was the crackhead crack thing. You know, out there selling your back on the street, selling yourself, trying to get your drug addiction met. Well, I saw this person years later. Years later, she had gotten herself together. She owned property. She went to school. I don't even know when I was there, I don't even think she had finished high school. This girl got on drugs young. And I'm telling you, when she told me, then she said, listen, I did a little piece here, a little piece there, but when it was all over, I had a bachelor's degree. And that bachelor's degree was working for her in her government job. And I'm telling you, that was a long ride home for me.
Was it really?
It was a long ride home for me. Because this is what I said. I said, now, Jill, listen, I told myself I wouldn't tell this to nobody because I didn't want to be judged. Right? I said, listen, now, you ain't gonna sit here and tell me that this person can come back from that. Mm-hmm. But I really said the crackhead. Okay, that was wrong, but I did. This person can come back from that and do this. What's your problem? That day when I came home, I registered for school. That day. Now, I registered on that day. Still took me a couple of months to walk into it. But what did the universe use? Something that spoke my language.
Right.
But why wasn't I motivated? And why did I need that to be motivated? I had other motivations. Everything about how I felt was my motivation. But I kept handing it over to you. The life handed it to me, I handed it to you. Jill, I'm speaking to you, then I spoke it to him. So this is how you became my project.
And I remember one time we was driving to New Jersey or something, and we got to talking, and I ended up saying, hey, I know that you've been trying to get me to go, but I realized I was like, I'm already good. I've already chosen certain paths, and I read so much, and I know things, and I'm learning things, and I don't know if I want to, at this point in my life, go spend time doing that. I'm on a mission here right now.
You absolutely did. I tell you, if I had a pocket knife, I would have stuck you. I was so mad because my plan was thwarted. I had a plan. He gonna go to school. I'm not gonna have to commit. I won't have to make the sacrifice. I won't have to face my fears. I won't have to. He's gonna do all of that so I can have what is in my heart to do.
Mm-hmm. And you did go back, and when you went back, you made sacrifices, because we would go, if we went away, you'd be working on tests and
we were
finals.
on a cruise, and I had to take my school books because my family
Sure
had a vacation. But what do I want you to hear? You know what?
Go ahead.
You know what that meant?
Mm-hmm.
That I did have it in me to make that sacrifice.
There you go.
I did. I was even willing, but I could have never told myself on the side of talking and not doing that I would be willing to take these books with me on a cruise and do what I had to do. I didn't know that until I stepped into surrender and got that party started.
And I thought, and it's so good. I think it's so sexy because she started using but it so elevated who you were, your consciousness, your understanding.
It's the gift that is waiting for any of us when we focus on our life and we get off other people's lives.
All right, let's get back to doing this. We made a decision, Jill, that our love was a mission. Love is a mission, and it was our responsibility to take love and the heroic journey to healing and to commit making our best efforts to shift out of our old paradigms of unconscious loving to a new paradigm where we learn to love what is, which is reality loving. I'm going to repeat it again. We had to take a heroic journey of healing, and it became a mission to commit to giving our best efforts. And in giving our best efforts to shift out of some old dysfunctional paradigms of unconscious living where we were not paying attention to what was happening, to a new paradigm where we learn to love what is, and that's reality loving. And our commitment was to be a functional and develop spiritually and give birth to a spiritual relationship. Mm-hmm. We had to take this out of arguing. We had to take it out of bittering. We had to take it out of spending an hour and a half on a cell phone and doing this and can't talk to one another and can't deal with it, because we had to come out of the paradigm and say, we're going to love reality as it is, not how we want it.
But we didn't. We had to make vows to get out of this. The same way you make your vows / commitments when you get married, we had to make vows. So one of the big things that helped us turn the corner so that we would at least get to a conscious love is that we decided, if you said something to me and I was offended, we had a certain amount of time.
24. I think it was 24.
It started with 72 hours.
Right.
And what that meant was this: I couldn't be mad for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. But we agreed. Can two walk together unless they agree? Mm-hmm. We agreed. And when the time, so when the time came when I wanted to be bothered, now here's what it was. You would You would say something to me at that point. I just didn't want to talk about it because I don't know. It was that old.
And it wasn't just 24. It could have been 72.
It was 72 at first, but
right.
as we matured,
It got shorter.
It got shorter. And so, you know, Ron, you just keep making me feel what I say.
I'm sorry. Well, you said that we had made an agreement that even if we got upset and we got angry or whatever.
Right. And so the reason why that was, thank you very much for using your memory to help me, right? The reason why that was so important, because I was the one that kept my true emotions and how I felt on the inside. So it wasn't just you can't be mad and then 24 hours later, 72 hours later, we come together and then we just start talking like nothing happened. No. I had to now come back and talk, because sometimes he would say, okay, Jill, you want to talk about it? Well, I was still in whatever level of maturity I was in, and I didn't want to talk about it. In the very beginning, I didn't want to talk about it, so he come back to me 10 times. You want to talk now? I don't want to talk now. I'm still mad. Then you come back, you want to talk now? Let me tell you something. Very unfair for a person to have to keep knocking on your door. Can you come in? And you refusing to answer. So we nipped that in the bud. And by nipping that in the bud, there was that brought us to a conscious love.
Right.
Because now I could not keep wallowing in that old space that I had become comfortable with.
That's it. And in doing so, we made a choice to become authentic. And the choice to become authentic, we said if we're going to make it, we got to be authentic, and we got to elevate our relationship and our minds to a higher conscious level. We had to put spirituality first. We had to put spiritual synergy first. And we had to elevate ourselves to a higher conscious level. And in doing so, we both began to learn to speak the truth and no hiding. If truth was not spoken, you pay with drama, and it wears you both out. When we didn't chose not to speak truth, and it's whatever you say or whatever, and then we just didn't deal with it, and then we got quiet and we wouldn't talk to one another or anything like
nothing
that.
Changed.
Right.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changed. Right.
Nothing changed. And I think, Deron, when you were talking about just the space we had to be in and how we ended up wanting to be authentic. Listen, authentic is where we came.
Right.
We didn't say, let's be authentic. We didn't even know that we were not authentic.
Right.
We didn't know that we were being truthful but not honest. See, sometimes you can tell the truth but you're not honest. I'm okay. No, you're worse than okay. You know, you can handle it, but you're also going through something. So we weren't honest about whether we were offended, or honest, or I would say I'm bothered, but didn't want to say what I was really bothered about because I didn't want to look petty. If I told you why I was bothered, I told myself I would look petty. And so why am I saying this to them? Because sometimes people think that you can just hop from, because you say you want to be authentic, that's a journey. That's a journey. There are lots of adversity. There's lots of wilderness experiences to help you get into the kind of light that will allow you to see what's underground. Let's say this, that will take what's underground and force it into a space where you can do something about it.
That's it. I put it's their fault, but we had to stop blaming. And we had to make this decision. And the decision was the Al Jarreau decision, and that was we're in this love together. We had to decide we're in this love together. And we have the kind of love that would last. We had to recognize that we are not going solo. We made a commitment and we're going to deal with it. And it says, like a diamond ring, it's a precious thing and we never want to lose it. It's like a favorite song and we love to sing it. And it's like berries on the vine. It gets sweeter all the time. We're in this love together. And in us being in this love together, we got the kind of love that lasts forever. We're in this love together. We got the kind that lasts forever and evermore. Don't you know this is the love that we're in together? And when you are committed to be in the love together, then you don't leave the other partner out there. You don't stonewall. You don't leave them there to guess what's going on. You decide, I'm making a commitment. And I had you do it last time, pinch me again. Just touch my arm. See, many of us, don't pinch me. Try to pinch me now. You got to lean into the pinch.
Which means you ain't gonna feel my pull because you lean into it.
You got to lean into it.
Because people pull it.
Yeah, you got to lean into it, and you got to make the decision. All right, I didn't like the way that felt. I didn't like the way that sounded. But I'm not going to make some kind of draconian decision to not deal with you no more. I'm going to grow up, and I'm going to be committed to a love 100%. And when you're committed to a love that's 100%, you make the truth shift. And that's when you're no longer a victim. You're a creator, and we are co-creators. And this relationship that we have, and if anybody has watched how we taught years ago and how we teach now, there's a difference. I know it's a difference in me because I've learned to be patient. I would be like, man, we can't get to this.
You grew up, I grew up.
Yeah.
Guess what? We used to poop on ourselves when we were 2 years old. Some people was doing it at 10, but I'm just talking about, no, people used to do that at 2 years old. Guess what? You don't know. But you're not mad because one day you used to. You get to mature. Everybody gets to grow up. Make no apologies for growing up. Don't make too many. Make some because you know life has taught you that you could have done better. But don't make so many apologies for growing up. You get to do that. Everybody else gets to do it. When their life is not in a fishbowl, they get to have all kinds of turmoil in their house, in their home. Your life is in a fishbowl where everybody can see you. Well, maybe they think they see something that is outrageous. Oh no, we're all growing and we're all trying to do those kind of things. But I'll say this towards to the last of what you talked about, love. Once we understand that love is not a feeling, affection, which is a part of love, sure, that's an emotion. It is, and it feels like something. But love is my commitment not to leave him out there. Okay, now listen, leaving him out there doesn't mean that I'm responsible for him in the things that he ought to be responsible for. What it means is I will not join forces with the adversary to put you under guilt lockdown, blame lockdown, manipulation lockdown. These are all the things that all of us could do. I won't play tricks on you. Because when I do that, I mess with your area of trust and belief in life. And I interfere with that thing that the Creator wants to use to shine light in the world. And so this is what helped me some years ago, and it is this: love never fails. Love never loses its value. It never loses value. If you're loving someone and you're showing them love because of what you understand life to be, if you're doing that and they don't receive it with the response to what you know, how valuable that is, that just because somebody put value on what you did, it doesn't change the value that you had when you gave it. I always tell the story about somebody gave me a mink scarf years ago. I didn't even know it was mink. I just thought it was the first thing.
She sure did.
And it was in my car.
Right, sitting in the car.
And then one day I went to a store with a girlfriend right near the time when Obama got elected. It was freezing out there, so everybody was looking. My friends and some people I do, they was looking for things to stay warm in order to go to his inauguration. And I saw this scarf. I was like, "That's what this is." Let me go put on this scarf. Guess what? That scarf was no less valuable because I didn't know what to do with it. Okay. And that's how I live my life now.
Amen. That's what's up.
That's how I live my life.
Amen. That's what's up. My prayer is that we were able to share with you some wisdom, a little something in the spirit. I was looking over there. I see there's a thing of tomato seeds right there, and those are the beef tomato seeds. And I just heard, I would have normally got up. I said, no, I ain't gonna do that. I'm just gonna tell them, you can change. I just saw, when I saw John Claggett, I thought about him and his wife, Adrian, and how they have a love.
Did you ever make that face?
Huh?
So did you ever make that face?
Because I was trying to remember without being told.
It scared me.
Okay, all right.
Something's happening. But anyway, go ahead. John Claggett, his wife Adrian.
And I knew that he had a love. You get on my nerves. Anyway, he had a love. And he got on my nerves because he was all touchy-feely with his wife and he was doing all the things. It was just nice. I love you, John, but I want you to know, because it was challenging me, and it challenged me to become more compassionate and understanding and be able to be committed. And I had to be committed to becoming a lot softer than what I was.
Can we do a good teachable moment?
Go for it.
See, this is what I would like to say to him, but I'm gonna let y'all into our living room because this is how this will go. So you was getting ready to stop the broadcast. I was in the middle of saying something, and you came in like you gonna stop the broadcast, and now you restarted. And so should I restart?
If you have something you want to say, I don't remember. I forgot that we was ending it.
Yeah, it was. So
you can't be saying all these good things then. Because I said that. Okay.
Then, so see, listen. This is real stuff. Do I look like I'm bothered? No, because you know what? I said enough. I'm good. But see, this is what happens when nobody's looking. These are conversations you had. I thought we was done. Then you start, okay, because that's what I feel.
Well, we is done. Then go ahead and stop it then. Shoot, I don't care. If it's done, it's done. You ain't got to be busting me out in front of all these people.
No, it's
you disrespected me.
It's teachable moments. See, sometimes people don't know how to have a conversation and not get too deeply involved with it, not take it too personally, and not make it about you. Just a wondering, and just a little wisdom. I just wanted them to see that it can be done. It can be done. It can be done. You can have two different thoughts at the same time and want clarity, and you can talk about it, and nobody has to take it personally because you wasn't trying to hurt me. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to hurt you. So this would have happened off the screen, but I wanted you all to see it. That's all. That's all I want to try to bust my
and on the screen, I'm very sorry I got distracted with the seeds. I saw the seeds, and I would have gotten up and done that. But let me just stop talking, and we can close this out. Whatever Jill wants, Jill gets.
Okay, well, that's another story. Stay tuned for whatever Jill wants, Jill gets. All right. Are we done?
We're done.
Mr. Kyle?
Well, I'm done.
All right. Well, listen, look, this is a little something in the spirit. Let me tell you, if you're saying at all, what can I do? This blessed me. What can I do? Listen, this is what you can do. You can go to...
Give your man some loving.
You can donate to Kids Eat Free. We feed kids every week still during this pandemic. And now there are more families asking for something. Now we extended that to helping some people who live up under the bridge because they can't go to shelters now because of the pandemic, right? So if you feel that this is something...
Is that what's happening?
Yeah. So some people can't, who used to be able to go into shelters can't because, there's all kinds of arrangements. Like our soldiers, people would go out there and they would feed the homeless. They used to be able to cook for the homeless and do open food. Well, now they can't do open food. So now that they can't go in there with sternos and open food, and now they got to buy more supplies. You got to have bags. You have separate containers. You have to have some of those things that you didn't have to do because we have some restrictions during this pandemic. So guess what? The expenses have gotten a little greater. And if anybody out there says, you know what can I do to bless these two people? You can cash at me, number one. I'm just teasing. Go to kidseatfreenow.com and help us change the world and help us help some people who are not old enough right now to help themselves.
Now here's the get back. See, you can say stuff like that but if I say something like that, I was out of tune. But that's right, I'm gonna deal with that off the camera.
But you know, when the person who gets back second is not the same as the person who did it first. So.
That's why I don't even try to get back. It ain't worth it. I'm done. I love y'all, and I beat you to it. We thank you for tuning in to a little something in the spirit after hours, where we just shared some wisdom, and we hope that you find love. And listen, don't be worried about cabin fever. Be worried about, I need to do what I got to do to get my love in order. Much love, you all. I'm ready to get up and stop this. Do you got anything to say? Because I'm ready to stop it. And I'm not going to talk about